All right, hello and welcome everyone to Smart, Ethical, and Proven Ways to Increase Your Site Earnings.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us. My name's John. Tyler.
Welcome, guys.
Hey, guys. And I'm going to explain why we called it Smart, Ethical, and Proven Ways to Increase Site Earnings. We're talking about publishers that are making money from having ads on the site. So we're not talking about e-commerce. Just make sure that you're on the right podcast. Smart, because we've been doing this for over 5 years. We're here to share with you some of the techniques and methodologies that we use. They're based on data, not on subjective opinion. Ethical, we want you to be successful and have a long-term business. We are a certified publishing partner with Google. And the proven ways, we're actually going to show you how to do things. Whether or not you use the Ezoic system or not, we are here to help you get ahead of things. So let's kick off, Tyler.
So to give you guys a good idea of some of the content that we're going to cover in kind of the short time that we have today, which is going to be pretty data packed, I want you to imagine that you have a stadium. So much in the same way that you have a website that potentially is getting 80 or 100,000 in some cases visitors a day, maybe more, maybe less. Stadiums have capacity of around the same volume. So I want you to really imagine that you have people coming to your stadium now, and they're all different types of people, right, John? And they are sitting throughout your venue.
Yeah, throughout your venue. And stick with us, guys. This is a good analogy. It's a sensible way of looking at it. Some of your visitors are going to be more useful to you in terms of monetization than others. And one of the reasons that we've got this analogy up is that you've got the blue people and the green people. They're not all the same. And so when you're looking at your site, you need to understand which of your visitors, let's say, for example, in the blue, they're making you $5 per session, in other words, in session earnings, and let's say the green guys are making you more. How you approach monetization is to do with the quality of the audience that you're bringing to your site, and then how you get them monetized.
So essentially what we want to do is help you in today's web event is to share with you basically how to identify your blue people and your green people, and then show you essentially how you get more green people.
Get more of those ones. Those are the ones we want.
So I wanted to start by giving you guys a good idea of the information that we'd be sharing, but I want to quickly just kind of give you guys some background. So we introduced ourselves early on. The gentleman sitting across from me with the English accent, that is John Cole. Yeah. John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm John Cole. I'm sorry I did the intro thing way too early before, but I've been in online since '99. I used to be in the military, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Ezoic. So I've been working on website optimization, for lack of a better way, testing really within Ezoic for over 5 years now.
And so I don't have the classic military to internet business background, but I am an award-winning marketer, and I'm the head of marketing at Azoic, and someone that has credentials in the SEO world and a lot of success there. And I'll be sharing with you some more information about basically how that kind of ties into everything that we're talking about today later on. But before we do that, because we have such an action-packed day, John, I thought let's just jump right into it and start delivering the information that people came here for. So today we're really going to share with you how to evaluate and measure your site success. So looking at those blue people, looking at those green people, which are which. Identify your most valuable website user, so figuring out who those people are. We're going to show you how to get more of those people, and then ultimately we're going to show you how to develop a foolproof strategy to increase the quality of traffic each month. So one of the things that I really want to point out is the information we're going to share with you today is not overly technical. You or anyone on your team could easily do these things yourself, and that's essentially what we want to do. We want today to be a day of learning. So without any further ado, John, if we want to measure something, where do we start?
Okay, so sites that get the most out of their traffic, who are doing a great job of this, they're doing three things. They understand how user experience metrics affect monetization. A lot of people are obsessed with CPM as a metric, or effective CPM. We're going to dive into why your bounce rate and your page views per visit feed into your overall success. So that is a relationship that you must understand. The second thing is then using objective data. So not doing things by eye, but actually testing and getting the users to guide you as to what they like, and then recreating scenarios that work from that data. And then the third thing really is getting the most out of your top content. So we're going to go through myself on the sort of testing side, Tyler really more on the SEO side, but between those two, tying it all together.
So John, how should we think about so you mentioned user experience and monetization going together. This is one of the things that data continually reveals. These two things are connected. What should we be measuring about user experience?
The three things that you measure, and I'm going to use Google Analytics as the example because I think most people use Google Analytics,
Sure.
But there are other programs out there, is looking at your bounce rate. So when people come to a page and then leave, and we're going to dig into that in a few minutes, page views per visit, and then the session duration or time on site. So when you take those three things, let's say, for example, the bounce rate's going down, the time on site's going up, and the page views per visit is going up, we consider that to be improving user experience. So when I'm talking about user experience, that's those three metrics that you can measure. Now, you can measure those on a landing page basis, so on an individual basis, on a per page or per landing page. We'll dig into that. And then obviously geolocation, and then by device. So what is the bounce rate for this article on tablet in Austria, and what is the engagement level based on those things that we can measure?
So if you want to really measure if your users like your content or enjoying the stuff that's on your page, this is a great place to start, and then you can splice that up in a lot of different ways: geolocation, landing page, device. But what I think is really interesting, John, is you mentioned bounce rate, and something that comes up all the time is that there's something about bounce rate that not a lot of people know about, specifically with Google Analytics.
Yeah, specifically with Google Analytics, and obviously it's free, everyone likes to use it. We use it in our system, and this is just a top tip for everybody. Google Analytics, when it comes straight out of the box, doesn't do a great job of measuring real bounce rate. And if you still have it set up on the out of the box settings, this is something that you need to sort out. So the reason for it is the tag will fire on the page, and let's say somebody comes to a page, they spend 20 minutes reading an article, and then they hit the back button. Because the second tag, and in other words, they haven't gone to another page, they've just gone back, it records that as a bounce, and it records it as being 0 session duration because it hasn't got that timestamp between the two tags firing.
So where this hurts publishers sometimes is you may have content that people are maybe only hitting once and they're not going to other pages, and they're not recording, maybe in some cases people spending 15, 10, 20 minutes on a site. If you want to record that, what you really need to do is you can actually modify your analytics. It's really simple. This kind of looks intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple. I'll share all of this information afterwards, so everyone that's on today's web event, I will send these slides to, so you can copy this for yourself. You can view a post on how to do this, but you can essentially set your bounce rate to be set on a scroll. You can be set to timeout, so after 15 seconds on the site, it'll start recording those things.
We have it set. We actually fixed this for the testing that our system does, and we have it set at 15 seconds, which I think is reasonable. If somebody comes to a page for 15 seconds, if they stay longer than that, then it's not a bounce. If they stay shorter than that, then it is a bounce.
Yeah, and you want to at least record that time on site, so you know how much time people are spending on separate pages. So with that in mind, John, so that's how we measure user experience. So what about the other side of that, the monetization, the side where we're making money? Are we measuring that properly right now?
Yeah, and so when you're getting on top of understanding your engagement of your content, you need to then start understanding how that engagement or how that user experience affects how much money you make. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, I'm going to take you through it. Let's say, for example, Tyler, you've got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu site. Right?
I do. We're going to talk about it later on.
Okay, good. So let's say, for example, that this is a day in the life of your site, and that in scenario 1 here, we've got RPM, which everybody I think is familiar with as a metric. I've had it in AdSense for a long time. It's revenue per mil, or how much revenue you're making per 1,000 page views. So that's all of the ads on the page added together, and then on a per page basis. RPM is something that everybody I think monitors. Here's why it's not a great way of knowing if you're making progress on monetization. So let's say you're making on average 2.5 page views per visit. So from 10,000 visits, that gives you 25,000 page views. And at $8, that's getting you $200.
All right, I like it.
Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
$200 is great. Now let's say you put in another ad, and let's say that the ad network that you are using has given you a guaranteed rate and a guaranteed fill rate and so on. But now you have a page views per visit of 1.5. And from your 10,000 visits, same number of visitors, you're getting 15,000 page views, even though your RPM has gone up
Well,
to
I wanted
$10.
that. I wanted that guaranteed RPM. It sounded like I was going to make some more money.
Yeah, even though your RPM's gone up, you're making less money overall. And that is the thing that I think everybody needs to understand, is that RPM, in other words, how much you're making per page by adding all of the ads together, is not a good metric. You want to be looking at your session revenue, and that's really what we call EPMV. Now, you don't have to use the Ezoic system to work this out. All you have to do is get all of your revenue over a particular time frame. So let's say over the last 30 days, all of my revenue sources, go into analytics, look at the number of sessions, so money divided by sessions divided by 1,000, and that gives you, I guess we would call it like a true north. It gives you a way of knowing. Let's just flip back up to the previous example. What you've got to look at here, between these two, the reason that the money went down is because the page views per visit went down to 1.5 instead of 2.5. And that is the metric that I want everyone to understand, because if the bounce rate goes up and the page views per visit goes down, you're going to make less money, even though your RPM is high. And let's go back to the other one. That is the thing that you can, if you keep an eye on your EPMV, it will show you whether those extra ads you're putting in to try and make more money are actually making you more money, or if they're making people bounce away and look at less pages, and then you're making less money overall.
So it's some pretty simple math that we could do month over month that would allow me to basically see, am I monetizing my traffic better or worse than I was before? And it gives me basically a metric that I can count on, versus RPMs, which we've seen before, is not necessarily indicative of if I'm monetizing my traffic successfully or not.
That's correct. Whether you're selling your own campaigns, whether you're plugging in different ad networks, take all of your money together and look at it. How much money am I making per visitor? That will get you on the right side. This is just what we've learned, from doing lots and lots of testing and understanding the industry.
So now, since we understand how to measure UX and revenue, so we've kind of looked at both of those things: bounce rate, page views per visit, session duration, all that kind of stuff, along with EPMV as a way to look at revenue. Who are these valuable users? So John, can you maybe walk us through how maybe people traditionally are trying to identify, the best ways to monetize their site, and maybe the way that they should probably start thinking about it?
Yeah, and this is an example, and I hope everyone's still with me on this, because this is core to understanding. If you have a site and you're making money from ads on that site, you will have some pages that monetize at a higher level than others. I think everyone knows that, right? So when you're looking at which are the most important ones, we're looking at landing pages and we're looking at pages. So if you haven't done it yet, I suggest that you do it. You connect your Google Analytics to your AdSense account, and you can look at the pages that are making you the most money. Now, that's only half the story. The pages that are making you the most money are important, but I would like everybody to understand that it's actually the landing pages that are most important, and I'm gonna explain why.
So you can, in this case, John, what we're looking at is actually a dashboard from Azoic where you can actually run a lot of these reports individually. But
yeah,
I want to point out that you can actually do this through Google Analytics as well. You can actually take all of your ad tags and give individual tags for each page, and you can connect that to Google Analytics, and then you can filter that down, and you can actually go through and see page views per visit, bounce rate, session duration per landing page, and then you can see that for each unique tag. Ad tag as well. So you can do this without the Azoic system as well.
Yeah, we've set it up to reveal all of this data. You can, if you do tag things up, so in other words, you need to tag every page with a different ad network tag, so that then you can connect them all. But here's why it's important. So let's say, for example, your landing page number one, let's say it's a diamond website, and it's all about diamonds. So elementary example, you have a top page and it's earning you $40 on an EPMV, that earnings per 1,000 visits, or a session earnings metric that we talk about. But it's got 100% bounce rate. So people come look at the page and then they leave.
So the page is earning about $40, and then you learn that the EPMV overall for the people that land on that page is also $40.
It's $40, that's right. And just to keep the maths easy, they don't go on to another page. On average, it's a one page.
People want to come and see who bought the most expensive diamond ring.
That's right. So they got Liz Taylor, picture of Liz Taylor, whatever, and then and because of the contextual advertising on that page, Google is able to bring in some really good numbers for you, and that's a great result. But here's why that's not the most important landing page for you to be looking at when you're trying to improve your earnings. Landing page number 2 naturally moves from one page to another to another. So, for example, in this example, it's tips for selecting a diamond ring. And then it goes on to talk about clarity, it goes on to talk about cut and color. But on average, it's getting 3 pages per visit. And this is hooking into that user experience metric and how it affects revenue, which is what we were talking about earlier. You're getting, on average, don't forget people are leaving it at each point along the way, but on average, you're getting $20 per page. So in a session, you're getting a higher amount, $60 in this case, which is making you more money. And it's because the engagement is higher and they're looking at more pages. Now, am I saying everybody should chop all their content into gallery pages? Absolutely not. But what I am saying is, by looking at what your users are engaged with and promoting those user experience metrics, like getting the bounce rate down and getting the time on site up and the page views per visit up, and we're going to go into specific techniques in a minute as to how you do that, that will help you make more money from those top pages.
So to summarize, in both these examples, we have, if I was just looking at this from which pages were earning more, so just connecting my analytics to my AdSense account or something like that, I would see that this most expensive diamond ring ever sold page was actually earning me double what this tips for selecting diamond ring page is earning me. But in reality, when we take EPMV into account, we start looking at things in terms of landing pages, you actually learn that tips for selecting a diamond ring landing page is earning me about 50% more overall.
Exactly. And so instead of producing more content like the most expensive diamond ring ever sold, although that's obviously it's a good page, you want to maybe do some more of those, investigate why you're not moving on to other pages from that page, and tips for selecting a diamond ring, that is the page to be optimizing. That is the page to be emulating. That is the one that you want to be focusing on. This is where we're talking about finding that value.
So if we want to kind of come back to our earlier example, we wanted to find the green people. The green people are the people that are hitting those landing pages that result in high EPMV. So
that's right.
Usually means visiting multiple pages, high paid views per visit, and being able to measure things in terms of landing pages. So how you identify your green people from your blue people, it's using landing pages as opposed to pages to identify what you're earning overall.
That's it. You got it.
So if we want to attract more of these green people, one of the best ways to do it is really to identify what our top landing pages are, as we talked about before, and then attract more and more people via organic traffic. So you may actually have some pages that are earning a lot, but their visitors are not high. So this happens a lot of times if you have a lot of social media traffic maybe to a particular page. So I'm going to basically walk you through a strategy where you can ensure that your pages that are earning you the most are getting more and more traffic. So one of the things that sticks out in this is that in a lot of cases, these pages that you have are actually not optimized for the highest volume keyword that they rank for. So what does that mean? It means that in Google results, you may actually be showing up fairly high for several keywords, but you may just be missing the very high volume traffic, which could be driving a lot of revenue if these are high earning landing pages.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you kind of quickly here how to build better SEO for these pages scientifically using data. So the very first thing I want to point out is I'm going to use a series of different tools here. We don't endorse any specific tool. So in this case, it's pretty obvious I'm using SEMrush. I'm also going to use Moz here in just a little bit. But there are a lot of great tools out there. We don't specifically highlight any that are better than others. There's Raven tools. There's a whole host of different tools that you can use to do these things. Some are free, some are paid. But I'll just kind of walk you through how you can do this in a base level. So here's my site that we talked about earlier, bishopbjj.com, Bishop being my last name, and then BJJ being an abbreviation for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, John, in case you didn't know.
That's right. I'm looking forward to finding out about this one.
So in this case, what I want to do is I would go in, and in this case, it's looking at all the different keywords that my content ranks for. And what I want to do is I'm going to filter it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to take one of those landing pages that was earning me more, and I'm going to actually search by URL. So I'm going to figure out all the different keywords that this URL currently ranks for in a search engine. So I throw it in here. This one happens to be Jiu-Jitsu Triangle, Learn Setups, Triangle BJJ. That's the slug. And so I find out here, you can see over here on the left that, you know, I've got some pretty decent rankings here. You know, I'm ranked number 5 for a certain keyword, but the volume is only about 10 visitors a month for 6. You know, I'm number 6, but that one's only 40 visitors a month. But if I sort by volume, what I can learn is that there's the keyword Jiu-Jitsu Triangle itself is actually 1,300 a month volume keyword.
That's a much higher volume than your other ones.
And I'm 17 right now. And so that means I'm just off of page 1. So this is an opportunity for me that if I could better optimize my post, I could potentially get on page 1 and get a significantly higher amount of volume.
Because it's exponential, isn't it? That, you know, you're not getting on page 2, it goes down
pretty considerably. Getting on page 1 is a big difference in terms of acquiring traffic for a certain keyword. So what we're going to talk about today is basically not how to, I don't want you to think about optimizing things in terms of you're trying to play a numbers game or you're trying to stuff keywords. What I want to show you how to do is enhance your content so that A, users will find it more engaging, and then B, that keyword will be something that ultimately you're basically enhancing this content so that it better aligns with that keyword. So here's how you would do that. This is the actual post that we were just looking at, and so there's some initial problems that I found with it that I'm going to point out, and then I'm going to show you basically at a high level how to do this for any page. So number 1 is I found out that I'm actually missing the alt image tag for my keyword. So in this case, it didn't have one, which is extremely common.
And those alt image tags are the ones that Google uses to basically index an image, right?
Yeah, indexes an image. It basically gives you a chance to tell things that are reading code, like a search engine, what this image is about. So in this case, it makes a lot of sense for me to say it's about Jiu-Jitsu triangles, right?
Yeah.
And so my title /H1 actually doesn't include my keyword. It includes some keywords and broad matches, but if I want to be more specific to this keyword, it's not just for search engines, it's for my users too. I want to make sure that the thing that they're searching for, that I identify very quickly that this is a relevant piece of content for them. So this is an opportunity for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about how you structure posts here in a minute, but in this case, I've got a video above all the content without any heading or context. It'd be nice for me to at least let them know what this video is about, or weave it into my content more so that I have an opportunity to almost sell my readers on, hey, watch this video because it explains maybe something that I'm talking about in my content.
So not diving straight in with the video at the top of the post, but maybe moving it further down.
That's
once
right.
They understand what they could be watching.
Yeah, and that obviously is going to bring people larger session duration too if I can get people to watch my video on my page.
Yeah.
So, and then I hop right into a whole bunch of content, but I don't really give any H2 heading. I don't break it up in any way. And those are keyword opportunities. They're also opportunities to kind of break the content up and make it easier for people to read. And then I've got this big test block, and a test block is like a big block of text with lots of sentences and no paragraph breaks. So when you write online compared to when you write potentially like a novel or a research paper or something like that, you want to break it up and make it easier for people to read. You also want to use things like links and strong tags basically to give people the cliff notes or links to other things that are relevant maybe on your page. So breaking your content up with new paragraphs, links, strong tags, which is basically bolding text, is a good idea.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing, because people are quite often skimming your articles rather than like reading every line, and I guess that's just the reality of the internet. Right?
That is the reality of the internet. And so let's pretend for a second that you don't have a page about Jiu-Jitsu triangles, and it's not exactly that page. So Tyler, how do we do this? I'll walk you through it. So one really great tool if you're using WordPress is Yost. It's a free tool. I'm guessing that a large percentage of you already use it. If you don't, there's absolutely no drawbacks from installing the plugin and using it. It's very well established and probably one of the best SEO tools that's available.
It's an analytics tool, isn't it, for identifying these things.
So what you can do is basically, if you do have Yoast and you're familiar with it, or even if you don't, here's basically how it would work is that box over to your right is at the bottom of your WordPress post. And so what you can do is you can go in to that and you can enter in your new keyword as the focus keyword. So this won't change any of your existing content or anything like that, but it'll give you this score down below and it'll allow you to see where in your content maybe you have some goals or some opportunities. So don't think of this as a way of identifying where you should put your keywords. Think of it as a way of identifying where you should be adding to and enhancing your content. That's really important here, because when we go through this process, what you're going to learn is you're almost always going to do something that makes your content better, makes it longer, breaks it up, makes it easier to read. That's essentially what we're trying to do. And in doing so, you should be able to find ways and opportunities to insert that keyword as well.
Yeah.
And so you can see here, the red dot at the top, I have no meta description. That doesn't include the keyword. So your meta description, that blue text with the gray text underneath it up here at the top in the box where it says snippet editor. That blue text and the text beneath is actually something you can edit. And essentially what you want to do is this is your opportunity to include the keyword and sell your content to people that are potentially searching in search engines. This is what's going to show up in Google or other search engines.
So for that keyword, Jiu-Jitsu Triangle, they will be scanning down, let's say they're on the phone, and they'll see the description that you've put in the meta description of what this article's about. And that's, like you said, sell it to them before they come to the page.
And I'll give you guys a little pro tip that I don't share with a lot of people, but there's a nice little structure here, and you guys, again, you'll have this afterwards. You'll see the example that I have here. It says, see a compelling 165-character description of your content, including the keyword. Learn about the content. Discover what it's all about. These are 3 words that you can use to kind of start and stop sentences inside of a meta description that I've found to be a lot more effective than others, because you're essentially telling people what the content's about using action words. See a compelling description. Learn about the content. Discover. Those are all the same things, but I'm trying to make sure that they understand that if they come here, I'm going to deliver to them information, which is the reason people search for things to begin with.
Got it.
So if we want to really boost page engagement along with this, which is ultimately what's going to move me from page 2 to page 1, there's a couple things you can do. Is you want to establish relevance early. That's getting the keyword in there. So that's what we talked about earlier. A lot of times your posts that are earning you the most aren't actually optimized for the highest volume keyword that they rank for. So we want to establish those keywords. You want to generate interest early. Make sure that they understand that this is going to be an article that is about the things that they're looking for. That's, again, where we establish relevance. And then underneath that, what I really like to do is kind of tease and hype the content. So this is where you really want to, kind of give them an idea of what they're going to read later on and really hype it up. Make sure you keep them scrolling. Make sure that they understand that the stuff that's below is great. It's tremendous. It's going to be the best content that they ever read, and it is coming down the page. And then what you want to do is, again, what we talked about earlier, break the content up, videos, lots of images. Images and videos tend to keep people scrolling because they want to see what the next image is. We're visual beings, so we want to see those types of things. And then at the bottom, and this is very important, this is key, deliver the goods.
Yes.
You can't hype it up at the beginning if you're not going to deliver at the end. You want to make sure that you have the actual content, the information that your readers are there looking for at the bottom, because ultimately what you want to try to accomplish is people are going to scroll through. They're not going to read every word on your page.
Yeah.
I know we spend a lot of time combing through our content, hoping that they read every word, but our readers, quite simply, in a lot of cases, are going to scroll to the bottom, and you want that information to be there.
And this is a really good description, guys, of what Tyler's just been talking about, of why, when you have high engagement levels, in other words, those three metrics we were talking about that you can measure on a per-page basis, making sure that you create the best quality content you can, but not jamming it all in as soon as possible, but just creating a flow. And I think this is something that then, when, from the Ezoic perspective anyway, when the ads appear within the content, the level of engagement is also feeding into the good quality of the returns that the advertisers are getting, and that makes them bid more for your inventory. So actually we're talking about increasing traffic quality for the advertisers and giving the users what they want. So this is the win-win. And that's why, that's why you've got ad-supported content, because it's good quality and people want to put ads within it.
And it's funny, and I don't want to go off in too much of a tangent, but I was actually talking to someone from Google here recently, and we talked very similarly about how we view ads and how Google views SEO, which is essentially the goal in both cases that publishers should really just be focusing on the quality of their content. And if you create really good quality content, the goal of advertisers and search engines is really to make sure that the cream rises to the top. Those are the top sites that people want to advertise on, and the people that you want to push up the search rankings as well. So this is the right focus, is essentially what we're saying, and this is where that ethical portion of what we talked about earlier is. There's no shortcuts here. So we want to apply these techniques. There's a really great post that we wrote on our blog that kind of highlights the exact step-by-step strategy of how you would go through and do this. So this is kind of like a high level of it, but I would recommend that if this is something you really want to plow into and spend a lot of time with, use this step-by-step guide. It'll kind of help you out a little bit deeper of a level, but this kind of outlines exactly how you would do that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to pick up before we move on, because you guys can go back and you can look at all this stuff. This is things that we've said is not quick and easy, but it will give you long-lasting results that compound over time. And if you look right in the middle of this list in blue, where it says read more, putting in these opportunities to expand content and actually sometimes go to other pages within your site, that navigation is a really good and important thing to consider. How easy is it to navigate around my site, full stop? So looking at your menus, looking at your background colors, these are the sort of things that our system has been testing for years. You should spend time doing that. Even if you're not using the Ezoic system, you should spend time looking at these things to make sure that you're maximizing the number of page views from your top pages.
So basically, whenever we're done with this, one of the things you can do is there's a lot of great tools out there. In this case, we're using Moz, where you can basically track a lot of those high volume keywords that you're going after. And over time, what you can see is if you're moving up or down. So if you're going to invest time in doing these things, I would argue very strongly that there are very few things that you could do right now that would be a better investment of your time than really measuring UX and monetization together, identifying your top landing pages, and then trying to improve them organically. And so I would strongly encourage you to measure those efforts if you decide to pursue them.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get your traffic up over time, which obviously everybody is, identifying those keywords from content that you already have that's in the page 2 region, find those pages, find those articles on page 2, spend time on those. If you get those up to page 1, and you do that for a sufficient number of your articles, your traffic is going to increase.
And we might do some more time on that particular subject in a later webinar. But what I would really encourage everyone to do, if you're interested in that strategy, start with those top landing pages, because that's where your biggest bang for your buck is going to start with. And so, John, we are hard up against our time here, and so I want to just kind of summarize with everybody what we covered here today.
Okay, so measuring and understanding your user experience metrics. Make sure that you're measuring bounce rate correctly. Look at your time on site and your page views per visit and your bounce rate, and understand the mathematics behind the monetization. So if you are jamming too many ads in a page, you will spam people away, the bounce rate will go up, and your time on site will go down, and your page views per visit will go down. Understand that these two things are joined, inextricably linked. You cannot separate your desire for more money from the ads than your ability to be able to engage your visitors. So, okay, that's just the summary of that point. The next one is make sure that you understand which are your top pages, which are your landing pages that are earning you the most money. Spend the time, connect AdSense and Google Analytics if you haven't done so already, or tag up all the pages on your site with different tags so that you can identify which are the pages that are giving you the most money. If you do use the Ezoic system, use that data. I know lots of publishers that they're just happy to make more money, but use that data, go in and look at the top landing pages, and then understand these are the pages I'm going to spend time on for improving the organic results.
And the last two are obviously, you want to write more content that's like your best content, obviously from those landing pages, identifying trends in those, but then identifying the ones that are currently earning you the most, and then find a way to boost the organic rankings, and that is by identifying your highest volume keywords, and then basically enhancing your content for those keywords on your page. So before we finish, John, I figured we'd People have heard us mention Azoic a few times. Most of them are probably familiar with who we are, but I figured I'd give you a chance to kind of clarify a little bit.
Yeah, sure. We've been going for 6 years. We've invested a lot of money and time into building a system that we built for ourselves. We ourselves were site owners. We use those as experimental sites now for the platform, but then we opened the platform to all publishers. So we are a partner, certified publishing partner with Google. We were the first North American AdSense partner, and we have, actually that's a little bit out of date now, we have over 30,000 publishers that are signed up using our system. It uses artificial intelligence to solve these problems that we've been talking about today. So if you haven't checked us out, we'd love to hear from you, and you can sign up at obviously at ezoic.com.
So that's all the time that we have today, John, but I want to mention to everyone that we actually, if you enjoyed today's content, there's a load of it online. You can go to Ezoic.com, and John and I actually have a podcast where we talk about a lot of different subjects as it relates to SEO, site earnings, a lot of different things that pertain to basically if you're a site owner and you make money off of ads, it's a really good podcast. You can also find it on iTunes at the Publisher Lab. And it's really just an informational podcast. We try to keep it as entertaining as we possibly can. And if you have further questions about the content that we covered today, I would encourage you to tweet at us at Ezoic. So it's the @ and then Ezoic, just like you see there in John and I's emails. And if you have a specific question for either one of us, you can always email us directly, John at Ezoic.com and tbishop at Ezoic.com.
Yeah. And thanks very much for listening, guys. And if you have questions or you have requests for future web events like this one, please do send them the ideas over to us. And thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.